Everyone, I welcome you all to today's session. So, today's topic of discussion is Unit 12, that is payment and collection of the check and other negotiable instrument. So, this chapter we are going to complete in two parts. So, today we are going to discuss part 1 and then we followed by part. Okay, so in this chapter we are going to discuss the very important three things: check, promissory note, and bill of exchange. Now in this part I'm going to tell you what is check, what is promissory note, what is bill of exchange, and what is the difference between these and how these work. Okay, so let's start with the very basic introduction. First of all, if we talk about the Negotiable Instrument Act, first of all, remember this act was passed in year 1881. This act deals with three types of negotiable instrument, which is known as promissory note, bill of exchange, and checks. And these are called as the negotiable instrument. It means that they can be transferred. Means whoever is the holder of that instrument is actually considered as the owner of that instrument. That is known as the negotiable instrument. So promissory note, bill of exchange, and checks. Now, a check is used in day-to-day banking transaction that you all know. The very common thing that you all know, the checks. Check is most familiar to all of you. Rest, bill of exchange, and promissory note. This I will going to explain in very detail. Okay. Now, if we talk about the check, so check is what? Check is a type of bill of exchange. Check is a type of bill of exchange that is drawn on a specified banker and not expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand. It is actually drawn on a banker that is clearly stated in that this check or this bill of exchange should be paid on demand, not other than demand, and it includes electronic image of the truncated check and a check in a electronic form. Check is actually a written instruction by a account holder who is also known as the drawer of the check. A drawer of the check is the person who is actually writing the check and instructing the drawee to pay certain amounts on his or her behalf or on his or her account balance. Okay, so their check is actually a written instruction that is given by the account holder, who is the drawer, to his bank, who is called as the drawee. A drawee is a person who is actually to pay, directed to pay for making payment from his or her account. A check can be issued from saving as well as from current account, and it is payable on demand. Okay, now check is in the electronic form also, means it is drawn in an electronic form by using computer resources and signed with a digital signature. So check can be written in a normal leaf or checkbook. Check can be drawn in an electronic form also using your specified digital signature. Check is a written instruction in which the drawer account holder is giving instruction to his bank, who is the drawee, yani the person who is actually instructed to pay the balance from his or her account. Okay, now if we talk about the check truncation system, we have already discussed it, that to eliminate the physical movement of check, there is the electronic image of the check or scanned image of the check that is circulated throughout the clearing process, and this is known as check truncated. Means in order to eliminate the physical movement of check from one branch to another, a scanned electronic image is actually circulated throughout the clearing process so as to make the clearing of check more easier, convenient, and faster. This is known as the check truncation system. Clear? Now you must have understood who is drawer and who is drawee. Drawee is the person who is actually directed to pay, and drawer is the maker of the check. Clear? Next, if we talk about the promissory note. Now, promissory note is what? Promissory note is an instrument in writing, not being a note or a currency, containing an unconditional undertaking that is signed by the maker to pay certain sum of money or the order of the bearer of this instrument. Means that the promissory note is a written instrument other than banknote and currency that actually contain a promise or unconditional acceptance or undertaking that he or she has to pay a certain sum of money to the bearer of this instrument or whoever is holding that promissory note. So there are two parties which are involved in a promissory note. Now, who are these two parties? There is maker or the payer, the person who makes the note and promise to pay. The person who is actually making the notes and promise to pay. Whereas the person whom amount is payable. For example, there is A and there is B. Now, B has given some services to A. For example, B have given any services to A. Now, on the behalf of this service, A has given a promissory note to B. A promissory note to B, it means that A actually makes the promissory note in which there is a writing promise or unconditional promise to give B a certain sum of money at this time period. It means that it in this situation, because A is promising B to pay the money. So A is the maker of this promissory note, and maker is also known as the payer, the one who is actually paying. And the pay who is actually receiving the payment, the holder of this promissory note, who is actually B. Pay is the person who is actually receiving the amount. That is known as the promissory note. So you have to remember, first of all, the promissory note is a written promise. It is a promise, first of all, not an instruction. Second, the maker or the payer is the one person who is promising another to pay the amount. The pay is the person who is actually the bearer of the instrument or the person to whom it is directed to pay. Means the person who is entitled to receive the payment. And the last thing you have to remember, this promissory note always contains two party. It is the maker or the payer or the pay, and it is an unconditional offer. Now let us discuss it with some example. I am giving you some statement. You have to read out this statement and just tell what is the correct promissory note statement. Okay. So first statement, I promise to pay B or order rupees 500. Okay. Second, I acknowledge myself to be indebted to B in rupees 1000 to be paid on demand for the value received. So in first, I promise to pay B or order rupees 500. It is a correct promissory notice statement. First of all, it is an unconditional thing. Second, I promise to pay. Who is promising? The maker or the payer, the one who has to pay. And B is the person who is actually receiving the money or who is entitled to receive the money. Now, second, I acknowledge myself to be indebted to B in rupees 1000 to be paid on demand for the value received. Unconditional offer, payer and pay. Payer again A, pay again B. Okay. Now, third, Mr. B, I owe you rupees 1000. Now, in this, you can say that it is I owe you. It is not written completely. It is not a clear instruction or a promise. That's why it is not a bill of, not a promissory note. Okay. Now, I promise to pay B rupees 500 and other sum which shall be due on him. So it is again not a promissory note statement. Why? Because see, here again you will find some conditions attached. I promise to pay B rupees 500 first deducting. First deducting again, the first condition is come. So this is not unconditional, and that's why it is not a promissory note. So first and second is a promissory note. For third is C, D, and E, because there is a condition attached and there is no clear promise that is written, and that's why B, C, sorry, C, D, and E is not a promissory note. Clear? Okay. Next, if we talk about the bill of exchange, now just listen it carefully and I will be explaining what is the difference between these two also. Bill of exchange again is the same thing in which there is a person who is actually taking a promise or not taking a promise, a person who is actually in writing accept that they have to pay a certain sum of money to another person. Again, it is for paying the money for after a certain period of time. Now, how can we explain it in a better way if we are talking about some example? Just please remember that in a bill of exchange, there are always three parties. In promissory note, there are two parties. In the bill of exchange, there are three parties. The one is a drawer, the seller or the creditor who is actually making the bill of exchange. Second, there is a drawee. Drawee is a debtor who is accepting the bill of exchange, or the person who is actually directed to pay. The one who has to pay is the drawee. Okay. And third, there is a payee, the person who is entitled to receive the payment. Now, normally in the normal condition, the payee and the drawer can be the same thing. Now, just I'm explaining the bill of exchange if by a example. For example, there is A and there is B. Okay, this is a normal condition. I am taking two examples in which in the first example, the drawer and the payee will be the same person. And in the second example, the drawer and the payee will be two different persons. Okay. Now, first of all, if we talk about the normal condition where they are the same person. So there is A and there is B. Okay. Now A has sell some goods to B. So A is a seller and B has received some goods. So B is a buyer. Now sell some goods to B, but again, in exchange of the immediate payment means they can A actually extended some credit to B. It means that B has been given the immediate payment. A just give it this goods on a credit and give a time period to B for the payment, for the completion of the payment. Now, in this case, what is the condition? Now, A, the seller, actually writes a bill of exchange to make it confirm or to make it authorized. And in this bill of exchange, A, seller mentioned that I have sell goods to B and now that B is responsible to pay me rupees 1 lakh at this and this date. Now A has a right to this bill of exchange that B is responsible to pay A rupees 1 lakh on this and this date. And this bill of exchange is now accepted by B. Means that in this condition, A, who writes the bill of exchange, is the drawer, the person who gives order, not promise, a person who is giving order to B pay a certain sum of money. Now, in this case, B is what? B is accepting that bill of exchange. It means that B is the person who is actually the drawee. Drawee is the person to whom the direction is given to pay. Now, B is giving payment to A. Means A has mentioned that I have sold goods to B and then B is responsible to pay A rupees 1 lakh. Means A is the person who is entitled to receive the payment also, and that's why A is considered as the payee also. Okay. So in this condition, the drawer and payee are the same person. Clear? Now, let us discuss an example where they are the different person. For example, A has sell some goods to B. Okay. And A has draw a bill of exchange on B saying that B will be responsible to pay C rupees 1 lakh on the behalf of this good that has been sold to B. Now, B said that I will not receive the payment. On my behalf, C will receive payment. And in this bill of exchange, it is written that A has written that B is responsible to pay C rupees 1 lakh at certain date. Now, in this case, A is the seller and B is the buyer. Okay. A, seller, is making the bill of exchange. So, A is the drawer of the bill of exchange. The person who is ordering B to pay. B is the person who is directed to pay. It means B is the drawee. And now, who is entitled to receive the payment? C. So, C is the pay. Now, in this condition, the pay and the drawer are different. Okay, so these are the two conditions of the bill of exchange. In bill of exchange and in a promissory note. Promissory note is a promise, and a promise is from the which side? A promise is made by the whom? By the maker or the payer to the pay. Pay is the person who is actually receiving the amount and the payer who is actually giving the amount. So I am promising to you. So I am the payer and you are the pay. There are only 2%. Now in bill of exchange, I am ordering, you pay me certain sum of money. I am ordering, so I am the drawer. You are direct to pay. Okay, so you are the drawee, and because you are directed to pay me, so I am the pay, and you are directed. If you are directed to pay any other person, then he or she is the pay. See, in both the condition, there's a difference. In a promissory note, if I promise you to pay directly, then it is a promissory note. In bill of exchange, I am directing you pay me. Okay. Now, promissory note, the payer is the maker. Whereas in this case, if we talk about the drawer is the person who is actually making the bill of exchange, he is the seller. The drawee who is actually directed to pay, and the payee who is entitled to receive the payment. Clear? Now, what is the difference between these three? If we talk about the two things, before the difference, just talk about these two things. Holder of the promissory note bill of exchange means the person entitled in his own name to its possession and to receive and recover the amount. The holder means the owner of that negotiable instrument on whose name the amount is to be received. A negotiation, a promissory note, bill of exchange, and check can be transferred to a person to make them the holder. For example, I am the holder of the check. Okay, but if I have negotiated this check to you, it means that now I have instructed that you are entitled to receive the payment. Holder is the one person whose name is written, means who is entitled to receive the payment. A holder can endorse this check or negotiate this check to another one. It means that they can just sign at the back of the check saying that, okay, this person will receive the payment. So that is the holder and negotiation. Lastly, if we talk about the difference between these two, first of all, the promissory note. Only there are two parties, the maker and the payee. Maker is the payer and the payee, 2%. Okay. Now there are 3%, drawer, drawee, and payee. Okay. Drawer is the maker, or you can say seller. Drawee is the buyer, or you can say the person who is directed to pay, and the payee who is entitled to receive the payment. Now, maker and the pay. Maker cannot be the pay. Obviously, if I am making the promissory note to you, means I am promising you to pay. Okay, I am promising pay to you. So I am promising to another person. So we cannot be the same person. Okay, now in this, drawer and pay may be the one. I have told you the example. For example, I have draw a bill of exchange instructing you to pay me a certain sum of money. So in this case, I am entitled to receive the payment. I am paying. I am giving the instruction, and that's why I'm the drawer. It is promissory note is a promise. This is an order. Acceptance. Here there is no acceptance required. Here there is acceptance is compulsory. Now, who is a drawer means the person who is ordering another person. So another person has to accept that order. Nature of liability. The liability of the maker is primary and absolute. Whereas the bill of exchange, the drawer's liability is secondary and unconditional. It means that, for example, if this drawee doesn't pay amount to pay, now the drawer is responsible to pay. So the first responsibility lies with the drawee to pay the amount to pay. If it is not done, then the liability of the drawer arises. So the drawer's liability is secondary and conditional. It is secondary and conditional. But in this case, the maker's responsibility is primary and absolute. Okay, so this is the difference between the promissory note and the bill of exchange. Now, I hope that you have learned about this topic completely. Now, in this part 2, we are going to complete this complete chapter. Thank you so much. Just please keep on giving feedbacks and rating to the session. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye bye, guys. Bye, everyone.